Hey y'all, this is Super Busy Robot, and I just wanted to go ahead and give you all sort of like a little tour of what has been going on with this project so far, because I know it's really hard to sort of convey how things are at the moment without showing you anything beyond pictures. Because you need to actually see the motion of what's going on to really understand where the project is at. So at the moment, up to about 170 zones or so, including some for like testing stuff, some for extra stuff, etc. It is a big long list. Various levels are at various points of progression right now, and it's probably just going to be like that for a while. I haven't like really honed in on specific maps that I want to finalize, but there's like a lot of them where it's kind of starting to get there. That's why I kept the file size or the map size at around 120 by 120 tiles. It's about 14,400 tiles per map. A lot of these tiles will be used and they will be able to be walked on and traversed by the character, or I should say by the player. Um, and a lot of these regions I'm kind of starting to come up with various gimmicks for like some of the smaller areas of maps that can have interesting things going on in them. A lot of bridges and other stuff are starting to be added. That's kind of why I took the time to improve a lot of the tile sets, and why it's been taking a little bit for me to like really like dig into levels a whole lot. And it's because I want to be like properly equipped with a whole bunch of different tiles to work with, as you can see over here in the left hand column. So anyhow, a bunch of the maps are in various points of completion. The database also is in various points of completion. We've got about 36 playable characters at the moment. We are missing Vanilla, Bark, Wave, Storm, Dr. Starline, and Lanolin so far. The only ones that I'm like really insistent on that we get sprites for is Bark, and then Wave and Storm, because they're each on like special teams and whatnot. Because Jet, Wave, and Storm are all the Babylon Rogues, and then Bark, Bean, and Fang are the Team Hooligan. So I want to get those characters into the game most certainly. All of the playable characters have their statistic curves set up already. Some of them progress faster than others. It just depends on what they're good at. They've also been given skill trees, and a bunch of their skills at the moment are currently being sorted in. So each character is going to have about 10 special abilities that only that character can use. Some of the enemies can use some of these powers too. It just depends on what the move is. But for the most part, each character gets 10 specialty skills, and then there is a big pool of like regular attacks that like a bunch of characters will kind of get like universal access to. Like they will share the basic moves. But you unlock all of these skills through skill trees, and you get points for those skill trees by running around in the field and getting monitors and whatnot that have like the character's face on them. So next up, we have a bunch of items and equipment and other stuff in. Just a ton of icons and stuff too. It's just a growing list of just so much stuff. Started a section here recently for chaos shards, which will be equipable to pieces of equipment and everything to enhance their statistics. A whole bunch of weapons and armor and stuff like that, and items. All of it was taken from various wikis about both the games and the comics and everything else like that. So it is a compiled list from like all Sonic media. Enemies, I think we've got like 600 or 700, somewhere around that amount. They haven't really like strongly been given statistics yet, because I have a plugin installed that kind of like automatically gives them statistics. and it'll rescale their stats depending on the player's level and everything. So like you can encounter enemies that are either at your level or like 2 levels higher than you or like 2 levels lower than you. So it kind of like gives you a range of stuff that is around your level and is not going to clobber you. However, stuff like bosses and things like that, they may get special statistics, whereas regular enemies will probably just automatically get like formulated whatever the plugin decides to give them. And I can mess with that too if I want to. I have a little bit. So there is some fine tuning that can be done with enemies. So we've got a bunch of different status effects, a bunch of different animations, and they're actually pretty fun. Like I like a lot of the animations that are in the series just because they're so versatile. And some of those I might actually like, kind of mix the animations together of like different things from different zones or whatever. Just for like whatever looks cool for the most part. There's all kinds of things that can be done with it. And also, the animations can be shown in the field too. So if we need like some extra like special effects for whatever, just for like any reason really, they can be worked into the game to where you can see them outside of combat too. Tile sets, all of them are pretty much done for like most zones. There's like maybe a couple where I need to like add objects, and I think they're like the cut zones or whatever, or like hub maps. But for the most part, each tile or each map has like at least 4 tile sets, and they are for terrain, objects, slopes, and floating ledges and like bridges and stuff like that, or building tunnels or whatever. So all of that is pretty much good to go. I'm trying to decide if I need to add a 5th tile set in here. And if not, then I'll just move forward with the 4 and use the 5th for whatever else. But I might use the 5th one here for like things that need to look like decals or what was the other thing? I think I've discussed it in the chat. I'm still debating that idea. But anyhow, I would like to go ahead and show off like a demo of actual gameplay stuff. So I have gamepad controls integrated now. I'm using a 8-bit DO controller. It's got like X10 which is like standardized stuff for Xbox and stuff like that these days. Most modern controllers should play pretty much this as I like to go. But so as you can see here, we have some actions that work for like Hit my little switch to call up walls here. So left trigger, rotate left, right trigger, rotate right, and then LT, RT, you can zoom in and zoom out with those. So left trigger, right trigger. And then if you want to switch your camera mode, there are various camera modes that you can switch to. There is a distant view, which kind of gives you this like view that allows you to there is a close-up view, which is kind of like overhead, over the shoulder. There is a first-person view, so if you want to take a look at the whole map in first-person, just soak it all in. There is some weirdness with the way that it moves. On the edges there, you might see that little polygon cut away afterwards. But rotate your camera around so you can get a little bit to see. But it is a user preference thing. You are not forced to do let's go into a little bit of combat. So we have, let's see here, skills with spin dash. Let's say this is going to give TP gain of let's go with 25. So okay. So we're going to do a little test battle here. Whoop. So the various characters, we have animation to so yeah. very likely that I have like undiagnosed ADHD or whatever, which I believe, because it's very, very